And then tell me a little bit more about your dad and the dynamic of him being kind of a disciplinarian. I don't know, imagining that, after something like that, that maybe there's a lot of kind of the opposite, where it's like, boy, this kid's been through a lot. Let's go easy on him. Sounds like, your dad was like, no, that's not the way we're gonna, do this. Tell me more about that.
Well, I think there's two things. Number one, I think my dad waited up all night. Hopefully, he could hope in hopes that he could catch that person. Um, you broke down a barrier of his house, and my father um, comes from a rougher upbringing in a very small room. I can't even say a home. Like, he had nothing. They had nothing growing up. So my dad was living an American dream to own a home and to have one car and all these things. So I think breaking down that barrier of protection was kind of a really, it was a blow to my dad in protecting his family, which was a very, very fundamental thing. Um, I really respect so many things about my dad. I tell a story in the book about the way that I think and the way my dad thinks, and it'll kind of talk a little bit about discipline to your question. But I remember, walking home from another babysitter's house that my parents, we went to during the summers, and it was like 100 degrees outside. My dad is riding his bike to and from work with his lunch pail and his uniform, and he's sweating profusely, like everything is just bled through with sweat. And the vividness, I still see this. And I'm walking with my sister, and I'm kind of kicking rocks. And I just look at my dad with this mindset, like, what? There's got to be a better way, Dad. Like, we got to find a better way. But my dad was such a worker and such a soldier and such a driver that he just did whatever needed to be done, because that's how he grew up. And how he was living was so much better. And in my brain, I was trying to solve it. Like, I was like, we could find, there's got to be a car. Like, I'm just asking him questions like, what can we do? And to this day, he still laughs at me sometimes, because I've heard you talk about this, the never enough mentality. Like, my dad to my father, who had everything he ever dreamed of at a very, very young age, because his dreams were a lot smaller, they gave me a lot more capability to think bigger.